let's get to the exercise. The exercise is this. Who likes their coach in the NFL? My friends that every now and then check in with me, they all want to fire their coach. They'll be like, hey, don't you think we should fire our coach? And my answer is almost always no. It happens in college. As I was leaving Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge after another loss to Alabama, guys coming up to me like, probably should fire Brian Kelly. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I think he's a really good coach. He's won everywhere he's gone, and it's super disappointing to lose to Alabama, especially post Saban. But yeah, I think it's a simple thing, and I think it's a very. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. Monday play calling. Can't believe, when somebody will be like, I just don't like our play calling. I'm like, what specifically don't you like about their play calling, Doug? Like, what is it? So the idea was like, how short is the list going to be of the 32 NFL fan bases that are actually going to say, we could say today that fan base likes their coach? I think the yes list is longer than we thought at the beginning of this. Do you want to go through the no's first and see where we're at? Okay. Jets, Chicago, New Orleans. I mean, the Chicago things, you just do that every other year. Is Jacksonville a no at this point? It kind of has to be, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Dallas is a no. Carolina, you can't really put them there first year in, right?
I agree.
That's not fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. You can't just go bad team, must not like their coach 1 year in. And by the way, I'm happy for Bryce Young right now. I couldn't be happier for that guy.
Yeah.
I think Philadelphia is on the no list.
There is this funny thing happening in Philadelphia right now where listeners to the Ringers Philly special are like, Sirianni's, half the listeners are like, Sirianni's turned it around. You're not giving him enough credit. And then the other half, and I don't know if I have those percentages right, are with me, where it's like, this is the most talented offense in the NFL. The front office hired the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. I don't know how much credit I can give him, but I don't know if you've looked at Pro Football Reference for this exercise. Do you know where Nick Sirianni is in the all-time coaches winning percentage right now?
Oh, well, I didn't look at, but I mean, it's got to be really good because it's not like they've been bad. And even last year, as disappointing as it was, what are they, 10-1? So is he number one?
He is 8th all-time in winning percentage.
All-time winning percentage. I thought you meant active, right?
Sorry, you got to go down to get to George Halas and Don Shula from Nick Sirianni. So listen, they've been 8-2 each of the last 3 seasons under him. I think the fan base is split right now. I would say more feel like, no, they're not winning because of him than he's adding something to the table.
We know he's not in the yes category. All right.
Correct.
All right. So any other hard no's right now? Because I have a bunch of maybes too, but I think I'm just too soft when it comes to wanting to fire every coach. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Hard nose I'm looking at here. Raiders probably, right? I mean, Antonio Pierce, I can't imagine there's a bunch of Raiders fans going, this guy's giving us what we thought we were going to get from him this season when you look at their football team. Is that too harsh?
I just don't know what the expectations were with the quarterback situation. It was almost like they took a gap year, where the Giants gap year, they paid Daniel Jones a ton of money. The Raiders went with the gap year quarterback. We're like, yeah, we're just going to try this. And it's going to be really inexpensive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I also, look, selfishly, I love Antonio so much. I probably didn't want to put him down here, but we can do it. What about the Colts?
I think the shine's coming off a little bit. I'm on some group chat. Yeah, I'm on some group chats where I've been like, "Are you guys gonna, you're not putting Steichen into the Hall of Fame first year now anymore?" I guess it's hard to know who's pulling the strings. Was he pulling the strings with this weird quarterback situation? But at the same time, I think the expectations were higher that you thought you were getting someone who's going to develop a young quarterback, and that hasn't happened at all. I don't think they're a no yet. I think they're probably in the middle. They're not a yes either.
They're not a yes.
Yeah.
Miami's not a yes anymore.
Agreed. Miami. Although, I mean, if you do look at it, when Tua plays, their numbers have still been offensively very good. So I don't know. Maybe, is that a personnel thing? Maybe you should have done something at backup quarterback to have stayed afloat. But yes, the shine has come off for Miami and Mike McDaniel.
Well, not beating good teams is an overall problem too. So I don't think this is a very human thing. where it's new, it's exciting. All the things about your personality are all positives. And then when you get fired, those same personality traits are like, no, he's a little goofy. Like,
Yes.
because everybody gets fired when he's out in Miami, when it's over in Miami, I can already tell you what every one of those pieces will be. I could write them before they happen, years. And I hope he gets to stay down there forever because I like him. But it's just not what the job is. And it's just going to be, it's going to be the most predictable thing ever. The columns that are written when there's a new head coach in Miami. New England's, it's too early, but nobody's pumped about it.
Is that fair? Like, I was looking at it. They're better than they were last year at this time with Bill Belichick. And I know the quarterback is different. A lot of the other pieces are the same. You look at the Drake May situation. Did they like, you could make the case if I were Gerard Mayo's agent. All right, let's do that. If I'm his agent, I'm making the case they handled this perfectly. They didn't throw him into the fire. They brought him along slowly. Now Drake May looks good. So they handled the quarterback situation well. Look at the rest of the roster. It's not very good. They're outperforming what they were last year. Give my guy a break.
I would say the defense, even with the lack of personnel, because this has been one of the most boring talent rosters in the league now for a while. You would say, well, how come the defense fell apart? Just because Judon's not here, So even last year, the defense with Bill and with Steve, that ended up being a pretty good defense last season. But nobody thought they were going to be good. Nobody thought they were going to be good this year. And again, the carryover of the roster decimation is inherited. All right, so let's maybe we'll flirt with the maybes and yeses here. All right, give me the definitive yeses that you have, and I'll see. I imagine we probably have a lot of the same ones here.
All right, I've got 8, and this is they like their coach, not they should like their coach, right? Because there is a difference.
Okay, 8. You have less than I do. All right.
Okay.
Stuff.
I've got Andy Reid, Dan
Agreed.
Campbell, Jim Harbaugh, Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, and DeMeco Ryans. Those are the 8 fan bases where I think if you pulled them, I would feel very confident that it would be like over 75% of the fan bases of the fan base would say, yes, we like our coach.
No issues with any of those.
Okay.
Now we want to get real difficult and week 3, like, okay, fine. Like if you're waiting for 100% approval, that's why baseball managers are screwed. Because if you're really locked into baseball and you watch all 150 of the 162, you're going to see constant mistakes. There's going to be bullpen mistakes. There's going to be pinch hitting mistakes. And so if the goal is to not have any of those mistakes, then I would say, then just have a different hobby. Like have a different thing that you're going to be interested in, because there's just going to be multiple opportunities for you to be disappointed by those. But I think those 8 are solid. I have no issues with those. So this makes it better. I'm going to throw 4 more at you.
Okay.
But you kind of got in front of it here by saying they do not should like their coach, because the should like their coach is a longer list than the 8. Why would anybody be upset in Seattle?
I think that's just sort of on the fence probably right
with
now.
McDonald?
Yeah, I like McDonald a lot, but I think if you're looking at it and you were a Seahawks fan, like I thought the Seahawks had a chance to be a playoff team this season, and you thought, all right, he's going to bring this Ravens defense and it's going to be awesome. And I think part of it is talent and injuries they've had, but they've been mediocre in every respect of the team: offense, defense, pass offense, whatever you want to look at. They're mediocre at it. And so I like McDonald. I think he's going to be really good. I think if you kind of pulled their fan base, they'd be like, this has been fine. This hasn't been like the most fun year we've ever had.
I think he's good. And
I agree.
I don't think their expectations should have been that high. And, we can all play the injury game with a bunch of different people here, but I mean, they've had some weeks going in with a D line where I was just like, I don't know what kind of chance they have on a Sunday afternoon. All right. Washington kind of follows along with the same thing here. I mean, look, they love Dan Quinn on the broadcast last night, but people do really like Dan Quinn. We could also throw that in there. It's way beyond expectations. They've married the marriage between Kingsbury and Daniels and all of this stuff has worked, the rookie quarterback, the way that it rarely ever works, although we have recent history with C.J. Stroud's incredible rookie year. The defense for Washington, like, I trust it week to week. I know it's a lot of points against Pittsburgh. That game got kind of weird with the field position stuff in it on both sides. But, when I watch, like, there's names that I didn't know, household names types on that defense that have been around a little while, where I feel like it's a group that, it can be a strength for them on a Sunday. So maybe it's too soon to put them in the clear, like, you're good. We're all behind you. But I don't think anybody should be upset about Dan Quinn this year.
I think you're right. I think they belong in the first group of fan bases that like their coach. I do think they like. I think the Commanders fans like Dan Quinn, especially because they were getting clowned for how the whole Ben Johnson thing happened last offseason. And so they were very defensive about that. And now they got a head coach who has them competing for a playoff spot with a rookie quarterback. So yeah, I think they belong in that first group. You're right.
Okay. All right. So I got Washington. I couldn't get Seattle. That's fine. I have two more. No John Harbaugh from you.
John Harbaugh for me is there's this group of guys who have been around with their teams. And so it's kind of what you were saying earlier. As each year passes, you're going, oh, I haven't won a Super Bowl since year. I think John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL, one of the best coaches of the last 20 years. They are on my should list. I mean, been there for 17 years, has won over 60% of his games, has tried new things with Todd Monken. That wasn't like a guy he just hired because he knew him. Mike McDonald, that was a great defensive coordinator hire. He's been able to cultivate a coaching staff, and they're competitive pretty much every single year. They had like a 3-year stretch where they were okay, but now they're just competing for Super Bowls, and I know they haven't gotten over the hump. But yeah, I think Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the league, but I had him in the should. I don't know that Ravens fans, I think there's probably a segment of Ravens fans, just like another team I'm sure we're going to talk about in a second, that are like, this guy gets all this praise nationally, but we watch him every week and he hasn't done X, Y, and Z. So it's like, grass is greener type thing, probably for some Ravens fans with Harbaugh.
He's just been there too long. You're right.
Yeah.
And, it's a bit like the Bills Josh Allen thing where, you geared up last year and then you run into the Chiefs and then you can turn it to something else. So the last one actually is a perfect segue because it's the exact same thing, being there too long. Mike Tomlin. But the Steelers haven't won a playoff game since 2016. The funny thing is I used to think he was a little overrated because I just have to hear about it all the time. And then I thought like he was giving us the Tomlin quotes in Tomlin fashion because it sounded really cool and it always worked really well. So I thought it was a bit of an acting deal there with him. And I thought they had some bad home playoff losses, but it might only be like 2. So I might have been unfair. And yet now I've become a way bigger fan of his because then I realized after the fact, all the bullshit that he was dealing with stays the course. The team is still always competitive. And a couple of these years recently, I'm like, I don't think that team is any good. And yet they're still competitive. And he does something incredibly unpopular with the Russell Wilson thing. And it probably raises their floor a little bit. And clearly the deep shot thing has changed their offense here. So he does something. So I like Tomlin more. Like I'm completely against the Tomlin currents. I was down on him when everyone loved him. And now I like him more when he's never been questioned more. So again, I don't even know what I'm doing over here.
Yeah. That stat, and it gets brought up all the time with Tomlin, that he hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. I'm just like, dude, look at the Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges. Now there was a year or two there with good Ben Roethlisberger and then washed Ben Roethlisberger, but it's like the most misleading stat in the NFL. You take a league average coach with those quarterbacks, they're not sniffing the playoffs. And you're complaining about not having playoff. They wouldn't be anywhere near 500 with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. That's the year. Like his Hall of Fame plaque, forget the Super Bowl. Just be like, this guy went over 500 with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. Enough said. He doesn't need to do anything else in his career. So I think Tomlin's awesome. I mean, I know it gets overplayed, but 18 years without a losing record. Think of all the stuff that can go wrong in a season. Injuries, turnover luck, schedule strength, and then what he's doing this season. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL.
We agree, but we can't put him on the happy fan base approval list.
Their fan base. Their fan base.
Yeah.
I think Steelers fans. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I don't know. I've heard a lot of complaints over the years that like, oh man, he gets all. Again, it's like Harbaugh. He gets all this love from the national people, but this guy hasn't done X, Y, and Z. I'm sorry. That guy is doing more with less most years.
What about Denver?
Got him on the should list. Listen, here's the thing. Sean Payton's like the most arrogant, most smug coach the NFL maybe has seen in my lifetime. He thinks he's God's gift to football. That's true. It's also true that he's one of the best coaches of like the last 25 years. I'm sorry, he is. I mean, you look at what he did in New Orleans, and now they're 5-5. Their over-under for wins, I think, this year was 5.5. Rookie quarterback. I know they're doing it a lot with their defense, but he did hire the defensive coordinator. So, yes, I think Broncos fans, I don't know if they like Sean Payton personally. They're probably like, this guy's freaking annoying. But also, he's a very good coach.
Zach Taylor?
I don't think Bengals fans are in on Zach Taylor anymore.
Can we say that it's like Zach Taylor's like what he did last season?
Yeah.
I like Zach Taylor.
He's in the middle for me. Yeah, he's in the middle for me.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
think
But this isn't. I'm not a Cincinnati fan, so this is not about me. I
got two more shoulds here.
Yeah, well, I noticed you didn't say Shanahan, but I've talked to enough Niners fans who they think he's the worst fucking coach in the world. So I can't talk about Shanahan with people. I cannot talk to them about it, and I just go, all right, fine. Like there are people that I respect that think he is the smartest guy ever. And there's other people I respect that are just like, he sucks. And I think the he sucks part is a little too harsh about it.
I might have skipped him. I had him in the first tier. I don't know if I said him or not, but he's the best offensive coach in the league. I mean, like, I don't know. He's gotten to the Super Bowl twice with two different quarterbacks. They're in the mix every year. They've hired defensive coordinators, not this last group, but it's hard when your guys keep getting poached for head coaching jobs.
3 straight, right?
Yeah, he had good ones there. I mean, come on. If Kyle Shanahan were available after this season, or if they were willing to trade Kyle Shanahan, it would be a crazy bidding war to get that guy as your head coach. I actually think there's some fair criticism about some of his in-game, the stuff we can see in-game management. Why is he kicking a field goal there? That stuff, which I like to rip coaches about, don't get me wrong, that's kind of the one area where he's not great. But you give him any like offensive personnel in the NFL, and they're going to be at least competent, and they're probably going to be good. I mean, he's just been an innovator. So yeah, Shanahan's in the first group for me.
Okay, but do you think that that's his approval rating? Because that's not what I get.
I actually don't know.
I feel like you're shoulding him. I think you're taking a should and putting him in the. I would be thrilled to put him in the yes. That's not the experience that I've had in talking to. It's not like I have 1,000 Niners fans, right? So I'm guilty of one of my least favorite things that I've seen: the polling of one phenomenon. It's like, well, this is what I think is going on. Be like, you talk to one fucking person. But the Shanahan stuff, maybe it's, it can be a bit like Shanahan's considered this genius for all the things you just laid out. And then when it's, I can't believe you went for the field goal. I can't believe that people are just like looking at field goal decisions to just try to shit on a guy's entire ability to coach a football team.
That's my whole brand. All right. Settle down,
right. Sorry. It's like the timeouts in basketball because we don't know. Most people don't know exactly like, okay, what's happening here or whatever. It's like, oh, did it work? Oh, well, they should have called a timeout because it's something we feel comfortable criticizing because we see it right in front of each other. Just because a guy decides from 48 out to go for a, 4th and 5 and it doesn't work and I don't know, man. I mean, I guess maybe I've just seen the ESPN Go green graphic too much on the television. All right. So you have it at 10 then. You have it at 10.
No, I had Shanahan among my 8. Let me count here. 4, 5, 6.
Oh, you have him in there. Yeah, that's right. I didn't. I had him in my maybe. That's why. I'm sorry.
I have a couple other shoulds that you haven't mentioned here. I've got Sean McDermott in the should. I don't know if they do or not.
They don't.
But
so I didn't bring it up as a yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they've won 65% of their games with him. This will be their 6th straight season of double-digit wins. And you can say, yeah, but they've got Josh Allen. Go look at that defense and that personnel. They haven't had a bad defense with Sean McDermott. And this was a reset year. They get rid of all these veterans. And guess what? Their defense is like top 10, top 12 in the NFL by
They're
all the
missing
advanced
5
metrics.
like really good players on defense at one point
injuries
last year. And then you're right. This was hopefully Josh can help us get through a financial reset year, and they're doing it again. Yeah. I agree with you, but we both know that's not the case in Buffalo.
Okay, that's one. And then this, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I got Kevin Stefanski on the should list. The team sucks. And you can say, I don't know what his role was with I'm sure everyone's going to be like, well, I didn't want Deshaun Watson. This guy wanted Deshaun Watson, not me. That stuff's going to happen.
That stuff. Yeah.
I love that stuff as well. At the same time, I think he is a very good offensive coach. I think he's really good at the in-game management stuff that I like to rip coaches for. I think he's pretty buttoned up there. I think he did a good job hiring a good defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz. He's another guy that I think if they fire Kevin Stefanski after this season, I think he gets a head coaching job right away going into next year. So I think he's a really good coach.
You can check out Shiel and the crew on the Philly Special and, of course, the Ringer NFL show everywhere where you get podcasts, and his work on ringer.com. This was fun. This is actually more fun than I thought it'd be. Great idea, Cerruti.